It was the third time that week I stared at a pile of laundry and felt nothing. No urgency, no guilt, just a quiet awareness that I didn't have the energy for it, and maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to. That realization didn't come easily, because for the longest time, I believed that being capable meant doing everything myself. Every chore, every errand, every little responsibility that proved I was put together. I wore it like a badge of honor until it started to feel like a burden I couldn't put down. I remember one particular Thursday. My calendar was packed, back-to-back meetings, deadlines breathing down my neck, messages I hadn't replied to. By the time I got home, I was exhausted in a way sleep couldn't fix. And yet, there it was, the silent list waiting for me. Laundry, groceries, a few administrative tasks I'd been postponing. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent, just the kind of things that slowly pile up and quietly drain you. I sat down and asked myself a question I had never really considered before. What if I don't have to do all of this? Not because I couldn't, but because my energy was needed elsewhere. That was the beginning. At first it felt uncomfortable, almost wrong. The first thing I outsourced was my laundry. It sounds small, almost insignificant. But handing it off felt like I was giving up control over something I had always handled myself. And then came the comments. You've started feeling too big for basic things now? Why pay someone for what you can easily do yourself? That's just laziness, honestly. They said it casually, sometimes jokingly, but the message was clear. If you're not doing everything yourself, then you must be avoiding responsibility. And for a moment, I believed them. I questioned myself. I wondered if I was becoming soft, indulgent, disconnected from reality. But then something interesting happened. And the time I got back, I didn't waste it. I used it to think, to plan, to rest without guilt, to show up better in the areas of my life that actually required my full presence. And slowly, I started to see the difference. Around the third month, something shifted. There was a week where everything seemed to align. Work was intense, but I felt clear, focused, less scattered. I wasn't rushing from one small task to another. I wasn't constantly catching up on things that drained me. And then one evening, it hit me. I was sitting quietly, reviewing a project that had the potential to move my career forward in a significant way. My mind was sharp. My thoughts were organized. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't tired, not physically, not mentally, not emotionally. That moment stayed with me because it made me realize something I had been missing for years. I wasn't paying for convenience. I was creating space to think deeper, space to rest properly, space to show up as my best self in the areas that truly mattered. And no one had ever taught me that. We live in a world that subtly glorifies struggle. There's this unspoken expectation that if you're doing well, you should still be doing everything yourself to prove that you deserve it. As if ease somehow disqualifies you. As if making things lighter means you're not working hard enough. But I started to question that narrative, because the truth is, not all effort is equal. Spending 2 hours doing laundry when you're already exhausted doesn't make you more disciplined. It just leaves you more drained. Running errands when your mind is overwhelmed doesn't make you more responsible. It reduces your capacity for things that require clarity. And slowly, I began to understand that protecting my energy wasn't laziness, it was wisdom. There was another moment, a conversation that really tested this new mindset. A friend came over one evening, and somehow the topic came up. She looked around, noticed how calm everything felt, how organized my life seemed from the outside. And then she asked, almost casually, "So you really pay people to do all these small things?" I smiled. "Not all. Just the ones that take energy I need elsewhere." She laughed lightly. "I don't know. I feel like that's something I'll only do when I'm really rich." And I understood her, because I used to think the same way. that outsourcing was a luxury reserved for some distant version of success. But the truth is, it's not about how much money you have. It's about how you value your time. It's about recognizing that your energy is not infinite and that every small task you hold on to has a cost, even if it's not financial. What people don't always see is the invisible weight of being constantly on, the mental load of remembering everything, the pressure of keeping everything in order, the quiet exhaustion that builds up over time. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It just shows up as fatigue, as irritability, as a lack of clarity. And for me, outsourcing those small tasks became less about convenience and more about preserving my capacity. Because I started to notice something else. When I was less drained, I made better decisions. I showed up more present in my relationships. I had the energy to think long term instead of just surviving day to day. And that changed everything. There's this misconception that doing everything yourself is a sign of strength. But real strength, at least in this season of my life, has looked very different. It has looked like knowing when to let go. It has looked like choosing peace over unnecessary pressure. It has looked like being honest about what I can carry and what I don't need to. Because the truth is, you can be capable and still choose ease. You can be disciplined and still delegate. You can be successful and still create a life that doesn't constantly exhaust you. I won't pretend it was an overnight shift. There were moments I still felt guilty, moments I questioned if I was doing too much. Or maybe too little. But every time I returned to that feeling, that quiet clarity, that calm focus, I was reminded why I started. And over time, the noise faded. The opinions mattered less. Because I could feel the difference in my own life. There's a kind of peace that comes when you stop trying to prove something and start choosing what actually works for you. Not what looks impressive, not what sounds admirable, but what sustains you. And for me, that meant accepting that I didn't have to earn rest by exhausting myself first. I didn't have to justify every decision that made my life lighter. I didn't have to carry everything just because I could. So if you've ever felt guilty for making your life easier, for choosing rest, for asking for help, for letting go of tasks that drain you, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what is my energy really needed for? Because when you start answering that honestly, everything begins to shift. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that what looks like laziness to others is actually alignment for you. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever made a decision to protect your energy and felt judged for it? Or are you still trying to find that balance between doing everything and doing what truly matters? Share your experience in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if this resonated with you, if it felt like a quiet reminder you didn't know you needed, go ahead and subscribe to GistOver Cooking. There's so much more we're exploring here, gently, honestly, and in a way that feels like home. I'll see you in the next one.